Mark Lidbetter, sports editor of the Suburban here, and another edition of Judgement Calls. And this time around, I'm very glad to welcome a gentleman. Well, I guess we've known each other for way too many years. Peter Smith, who has just after 2 decades stepped down as head coach of the very successful McGill Martlets hockey program. And he has a very huge background, and we're going to talk some coaching. Peter, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, Mark. Thank you.
It's a tough decision, but I guess the right decision, and you had a chance to mull it over. It was time to step back?
Yeah, I think that would be right. I think it was time. It's been a tough decision. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been, extremely emotional decision. I'm leaving something I love, something that's been a huge part of my life for a long, long time. But I think that the timing was right to move on. So, I don't second guess the decision, but it doesn't make it any easier, certainly, to leave the team.
And over the years, four Canadian championships with the team. You've been there, maybe 17 times over the 20 years, medaled other times. 2 gold medal teams at Torino in the Olympics, and very special, I would imagine, Vancouver. When you started to make this career, did you ever imagine that, this level of success, thanks to the skills of these girls as well, not only the system you put in place?
I give them all the credit.
It's something spectacular. Now, what got you into coaching, though?
Oh, it's an easy answer. Well, it is an easy answer. I did my phys ed degree at McGill. I think that I've always been interested in teaching. I've wanted to do that for a long, long time, as long as I can remember, to be honest with you. And that's based on my own athletic career and the coaches that I've had. So I did my phys ed degree, and I got into teaching and coaching right after I graduated. Then when my daughter started playing sports, that's where I started coaching in the community. I'd already been coaching various sports at McGill before that, but then I started coaching my daughters in softball and soccer and ringette, and then on to hockey. And, that's how it kind of progressed. That's where the grassroots level started for me.
And it was, soccer at Lachine. You did ringette at Point Claire with them.
Right, yeah.
Christina and Natalie both playing. And then, speaking of grassroots, just when the push for the Hockey Feminine program came along, you were there and you really embraced it. And I guess, would that be the start of where you looked at it saying, I'd like to maybe carry this forward? Because, you coached not just the double-letter teams of the girls, you also coached with the Quebec team that went to the Canadian Championships. Yeah. Did that give you the impetus to look at that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was in the right place at the right time to get involved with female hockey. Back then, a huge. That's something we can talk about. A huge difference in terms of the landscape of women's hockey from back then to now. And I got real interested in it. I was real keen on it. And then what happened was at the Department of Athletics, it was back in the late 1990s, they did an evaluation of all of our varsity sports, and our director of athletics and others at that time realized that women's hockey was an up-and-comer, and they decided to put a lot of eggs into that basket. And I was already doing some coaching and both at McGill and then out in the community with hockey and skill development stuff. So he came to me and said, would you like to coach the women's hockey team? And I think he thought maybe I'd do it for a year or two, and that would be it. Coupled with the background I already had, and I really fell in love with it. I just really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful teaching opportunity. The players were and continue to be just so receptive to the coaching, and it's just been a real joy, to be honest with you.
And there again, you had the unique pleasure of getting to coach Nat and Christina
Yep.
at McGill Martlets. And as a
Yep.
father who coached their daughter, you don't get to watch your kid play at that point when you're coaching them, but it must have been
Yep.
special having them on the McGill team.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I have so many great memories, and that's a huge one. Looking back at the opportunity to coach both Natalie and Christina at McGill was a wonderful experience. It wasn't easy at the time in the sense that they kind of lost a father for 4 years, and I kind of lost my daughters for 4 years. Not exactly to that extent, but they became players more than they became daughters at that time. But it was still all real worthwhile. It was it was a great experience for them and a great experience for me.
And the Olympic experience, Torino in Italy, but winning gold on home ice in Vancouver. I mean, that's even got to be a step above, and it had to be a real learning experience too, in a sense, those two Olympic championships going against the world.
The Torino was great. It was obviously my first Olympics, and there was lots of learning going on, lots of kind of figuring it out. Can't say I really saw a whole lot other than just hockey. I was in the rink the whole time, preparing and the team to compete at that level, myself and along with all the other coaches. So it was a wonderful experience. And then obviously, winning the gold medal was huge. But then going on to Vancouver, I had a better idea of what was coming. I had the experience behind me. I took in a little bit more, which was nice. And Vancouver just did an absolutely outstanding job with the Olympics. I mean, the whole city it was really something. But, to be able to coach hockey in Canada, the Olympics, was a wonderful experience. There was lots of, there was lots of stress going into it. Certainly, there were high expectations for the team from everybody. And as you well know, we live in a country of 33 million hockey coaches. So, everybody's looking over your shoulder and seeing what's going on. But, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Just absolutely fantastic experience.
And the other thing now is you're stepped away as coach, but you're going to be at McGill still. You're going to be doing some mentoring, which I think is something you're going to really enjoy in that respect. There's a new head coach in place. Your program, I think, is in very good hands with the staff that's going to be there this coming season.
Yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with Alyssa Chetri's taking over as the head coach. She played 5 years for the Martlets, and she's been coaching for the last 6 years with the Martlets. So she's ready, and she's very, very well prepared. She's just a terrific person. Real good hockey person, knows the game, and she'll do great. She'll bring lots of energy to it in a year that I think energy is going to be very, very important. She's stepping into a very unique situation, just like you. It's our first pandemic, so there'll be a little bit of discovery as going along. And I'm happy to be around to support her and other coaches in whatever way that I can. So I think, I think we've had a good plan in place for me to move on, and it's come to fruition. So that's a good thing.
And speaking of mentoring, is there any advice you could give to mom or dads out there who are maybe getting into coaching, or they're in the early stages of coaching with their own kids? Like you said, you kind of lost your daughters for 4 years because they become a player. But what advice could you give to amateur coaches out there?
Well, I think there's a few things that I would say. I think first and foremost, the game really has to be fun for everybody. And it has to be fun for the coaches too. They have to enjoy what they're doing. And it's got to be fun for the players. And by fun, it doesn't mean that it can't be competitive. Competitive can be fun. I mean, at our level, the girls have fun, but one of the big parts of having fun is that they compete hard and they want to compete hard. So I think that's first, that it needs to be fun. And sometimes as parents, we can push too hard. So I think that's real important. Um, if you're coaching your own kids, establish, what it's going to be like right away. Make sure that there's good communications and, from coach to child, in terms of what the landscape's going to look as when I'm coaching you, this is what we're going to do. When we drive home and I'm your parent, I'm no longer the coach, and now I'm your dad or your mom or whatever it is. So I think establishing that and reestablishing that on a frequent basis is important. And then finally, if you do want to coach, then take it seriously. Learn, get better every day. Get a mentor. Talk to people about coaching and what it takes and how to teach. Teaching, coaching is teaching, and it's how you teach the skills. And I think that was one of the things that I really enjoyed when I started coaching hockey in Point Claire in West Island, was that I liked the teaching part of it. And I think that was one of the reasons that our teams got better. And I'm not taking any credit here. I mean, our players were just terrific learners, but we focused on the teaching and learning part of it, which is such a huge part of it. So get help and get some advice, and don't be, just because you played hockey doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to teach it and coach it. And I think that self-awareness is so important when it comes to coaching and teaching.
The theory of coaching, I always enjoyed those classes. Yes, you can learn skills, but to get your theory and advance that way, I think that's something that parents could enjoy if they're getting into coaching.
Absolutely. It's extremely rewarding. And
what are you going to miss most now from the day to day?
Yeah. First and foremost, I'll miss the day-to-day contact with the players, which is kind of funny because I'm not sure that there's going to be day-to-day contact with the players this year, one way or the other, but I'll miss that terrifically. I mean, the relationships that I was able to build, coach-player relationships will last a lifetime, and I'll miss that. And I'm real fortunate, with our alumni and with our current players, still have that, but you don't have the day-to-day with them. And then preparing the team, that to me, preparing the team, it meant the practices and constructing practice in a way that was meaningful and purposeful, and that was going to optimize the learning of the players, huge. And of course the games, the games are, what it's all about. So being behind the bench and strategizing, your own team and against your opponent. And, so there's a lot that I'll miss. There's some things that I won't miss, but I'll certainly, when it comes to coaching, you're putting in 80 hours a week, and, the only days you really get off are Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. So the rest of the time you're pretty much on the go. So yeah, I'll appreciate a little bit of time. I'll appreciate some time with my family. I've got 4 grandchildren now, and I look forward to spending a little bit more time with them as much as I can, given the present circumstances. But I think they're going to need some help too. And I certainly, my wife Vango does so much for them, and it's time maybe I did a little bit more too where I can.
And try not to drive Vango crazy with the extra time at home, eh?
Yeah, but that might not be that easy. She's going to be, I think she's glad I got something to do this year. Maybe next year she'll be looking for a coaching job for me.
Here's a job application.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
Hey, I appreciate the time you took today, Peter. One of 3 coaches with over 500 wins. The other one of them being my Terrebonne Park old boy confrere Les Lawton. Just some great hockey and great hockey memories. So my judgment calls on this one is, you want to see a really good game of hockey, you watch the girls play, because Absolutely. The intensity, the speed, and the skills, you will not believe. Sometimes they put the boys to shame.
Absolutely. Well said.
That's it for this edition of Judgment Calls. We'll see you the next one, and you know where to find me. Any comments, any suggestions, sports@thesuburban.com. Until then, everybody, stay healthy, keep your stick on the ice. Some good hockey is coming.